The notification appeared on my phone at 2:47 a.m., vibrating against the nightstand with an unfamiliar chime. Half asleep, I grabbed for it, squinting at the bright screen. Mem-free update complete. New feature available. Selective memory deletion. Try it now? I downloaded the app months ago, during one of those late-night spirals through the App Store, searching for something to help with the insomnia that had plagued me since the breakup. Mem-free promised to organize your digital memories, photos, texts, social media posts into a coherent timeline, using AI to identify patterns and help you process difficult experiences. Standard wellness tech garbage, but the reviews were stellar, and I was desperate enough to try anything. I should have just gone back to sleep. Instead, I tapped "Try it now." The interface was sleek, almost hypnotic in the darkness of my studio apartment. A timeline stretched across the screen, populated with tiny thumbnails of my digital life. Each memory node pulsed gently, connected by thin lines that showed relationships between events, people, places. The AI had done an impressive job organizing everything. There was the cluster from college, another from my 2 years at the marketing firm, and dominating the recent past, a dense constellation of memories labeled simply Sarah. My chest tightened seeing her name. 6 months since she'd left, and I still couldn't look at her photos without feeling like someone was pressing their thumb into a bruise. The new feature promised I could seamlessly remove unwanted memories from your digital footprint. Not just hide them, but actually delete them in a way that would retroactively clean up my entire online presence. No more accidentally stumbling across tagged photos on Facebook or shared playlists on Spotify that would send me spiraling. The process was surprisingly simple. I selected the Sarah constellation, and the app showed me everything it would remove. 4 years of texts, thousands of photos, Instagram posts, even email threads. This action cannot be undone, the warning read. All selected memories will be permanently deleted across all connected platforms and devices. My finger hovered over the confirm button. Part of me knew this was unhealthy, that I should process the breakup like a normal person instead of trying to digitally erase it. But at 3 in the morning, after another sleepless night, the promise of relief was too tempting. I pressed delete. The screen went black for a moment, then displayed a progress bar. Removing selected memories. This may take several minutes. I watched the bar creep forward, feeling oddly disconnected from what I was doing. When it reached 100%, the phone vibrated once, and the timeline reappeared. The Sarah constellation was gone, the gap where it had been smoothly closed like it had never existed. I checked my photos, nothing. Instagram, her tags had vanished. Even our text conversation history showed empty space where her contact should have been. It was thorough, I'd give them that. I finally fell asleep around 4, and when my alarm went off at 7:30, I felt better than I had in months. The weight that had been sitting on my chest since June had lifted. I actually whistled in the shower, something I hadn't done since. I couldn't remember. Work felt manageable for once. My coworker James commented that I seemed like my old self again when we grabbed coffee from the break room. "You've been in a funk for months, man. Good to see you coming out of it." I wanted to tell him about the app, but something held me back. It felt too personal, too strange to explain. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 days later. I was meeting my sister Emma for lunch at our usual place, a Vietnamese restaurant halfway between our offices. She was already seated when I arrived, scrolling through her phone with a frown. "Sorry I'm late," I said, sliding into the booth. The L was a nightmare. She looked up at me with an expression I couldn't read, confusion mixed with something else. Concern, maybe. "You okay, Em?" "Yeah, She turned her phone toward me. "This is so weird. I was going through my photos from last Christmas, and there are all these gaps. Like, I know we were all there. You, me, Mom, Dad, but some of the photos are just missing people. Look at this one." She showed me a photo of what appeared to be our parents' living room, decorated for the holidays. My mom and dad were on the couch, Emma was on the left side, and I was on the right, But there was this strange, empty space between us, like someone had been badly photoshopped out. Wasn't someone else there? I swear there was someone else, but I can't remember who. My stomach dropped. Christmas. Sarah had spent Christmas with my family last year. We'd driven up together in her Civic, singing along to terrible holiday music. She'd helped my mom cook, charmed my dad with her knowledge of baseball statistics, bonded with Emma over their shared love of true crime podcasts. I don't know, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Maybe it's just a weird angle. Emma stared at the photo for another moment, then shrugged and put her phone away. You're probably right. It's just been bugging me all morning. My brain keeps insisting someone's missing, but that's crazy, right? It was just the four of us. She laughed, but it sounded forced. Maybe I need more coffee. We managed to have a normal lunch after that, but I couldn't shake the image of that photo, the empty space where Sarah should have been, like reality itself had been edited. When I got back to my desk, I pulled out my phone and opened MemFree, looking for some kind of explanation or settings menu. But the app wouldn't open. It would start to load, then crash immediately. I tried deleting and reinstalling it, but it wasn't in the App Store anymore. Searching for it brought up no results, as if it had never existed. That evening, I called my mom. We usually talked once a week, and I'd been putting it off, not wanting to deal with potential questions about Sarah. But after Emma's photo, I needed to know if anyone else had noticed anything strange. "Hi, sweetheart," she answered on the second ring. "I was just thinking about you. How's work?" We chatted about nothing for a few minutes before I worked up the courage to probe. "Hey Mom, random question. Do you remember who all was at Christmas last year?" There was a pause, and I could hear her thinking. "Well, you and Emma, of course. Why do you ask?" "No reason, just. Emma and I were trying to remember something about it today." I kept my voice casual, but my hand was gripping the phone so tight my knuckles were white. "Oh, how funny. You know, I was just looking at those photos the other day, and I had the strangest feeling, like someone was missing. But that's silly, it was just family, like always." She laughed, but there was an uncertain edge to it. Although, now that you mention it, I found an extra stocking in the Christmas decorations when I was organizing the basement last week. 5 stockings, but there's only 4 of us. I must have bought an extra one by mistake. After we hung up, I sat in my dark apartment, trying to make sense of what was happening. The app had deleted Sarah from my digital memories, but somehow it was affecting other people too. Their photos, their recollections. It didn't make sense. How could a phone app alter reality? I decided to test something. I called James. "Hey, weird question," I said when he picked up. "Do you remember me dating anyone recently? Like in the last year or so?" "Dating anyone?" He sounded genuinely puzzled. "Dude, you've been single since I've known you. Which has been, what, 3 years now? You keep saying you're going to try the apps, but you never do. Why? Did you finally match with someone?" "No, never mind. Thanks, man." I hung up before he could ask more questions. 3 years. James and I had gone out for drinks dozens of times during my relationship with Sarah. She'd come to his birthday party. She'd helped him move apartments. How could he not remember her? The next few days passed in a surreal haze. I found myself questioning my own memories. Had Sarah really existed? The physical evidence was gone, no photos, no texts, no trace of her in my apartment. I knew I'd deleted our digital memories, but surely there should be something. A hair tie, a forgotten sock, the indent in the couch cushion where she always Saturday, but there was nothing. Even the spare key I'd given her had vanished from under the fake rock by my building's entrance. Then the dream started. The first one was subtle. I was in my apartment, but it felt different, colder. I could hear someone crying, but I couldn't tell where it was coming from. I searched every room, checked the hallway, even looked out the window, but the sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I woke up at 3 a.m., and for just a moment, I could still hear it soft sobbing, like someone trying not to be heard. The second dream was worse. I was walking through the city, but the streets were wrong. Buildings I knew were missing, replaced by empty lots. People walked past me, but their faces were blurred, and when I tried to talk to them, they looked through me like I wasn't there. I found myself outside Sarah's apartment building, or where it should have been. Instead, there was just a blank wall, smooth and featureless. I pressed my hands against it, and it was warm, like skin. Then the wall started to push back, bulging outward, and I could see the outline of a face pressing through from the other side, mouth open in a silent scream. I woke up gasping, sheets soaked with sweat. My phone was buzzing. A text from an unknown number. "You erased me, but I'm still here." My hands shook as I opened the message, but when I did, it was blank. The unknown number showed no history, no message at all. I was about to dismiss it as part of the dream when another text came through. "Check your voicemail." I had one new voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. The timestamp showed it had been left at 3:47 a.m., exactly 1 week after I'd used the app. I pressed play. Static at first, then breathing, then barely audible. "David, why can't anyone see me?" It was Sarah's voice. I called the number back immediately, but it went straight to a recorded message saying the number was no longer in service. I tried again. Same result. I searched for the number online, but nothing came up. It was like it didn't exist. Over the next 3 days, the text continued, always from different numbers, always untraceable. "I'm at our coffee shop, but no one can see me. I tried to go home, but my apartment isn't there anymore. My parents don't remember me. Help me." Each message disappeared the moment I tried to screenshot it or show it to someone else. I was falling apart. I called in sick to work, spent hours searching online for anyone else who'd experienced something similar with MemFree. But the app had vanished from the internet as thoroughly as Sarah had vanished from life. No reviews, no website, no corporate records. Even my bank statement showed no charge for the premium version I knew I'd paid for. On the 10th day, I saw her. I was buying groceries at the bodega on my corner, exhausted and probably looking like hell. The owner, Mr. Chen, kept giving me concerned looks as I wandered the aisles, putting random items in my basket. I was reaching for a box of cereal when I saw movement in the security mirror above the register. Someone standing right behind me. I spun around, nobody there. But in the mirror, she was still visible. Sarah, wearing the same dress she'd worn on our last date, the blue one with tiny flowers. Her face was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes were wide with what looked like terror. Her mouth was moving, but I couldn't hear anything. I stood frozen, staring at the mirror while she gestured frantically, pointing at something I couldn't see. "You okay, David?" Mr. Chen asked. I turned to look at him, and when I looked back at the mirror, she was gone. That night, I made a decision. If the app had caused this, maybe I could reverse it somehow. I needed to find the company behind MemFree, figure out what they'd done, and how to undo it. I started with basic corporate searches, but found nothing. Then I tried the Wayback Machine, hoping to find cached versions of their website. Still nothing. It was like the app had never existed at all. Finally, desperately, I searched for patent filings. Tech companies always filed patents, especially for novel features. It took hours of digging through databases, but I finally found something. A patent filed 18 months ago by a company called Mnemonic Solutions for a method and system for retroactive digital memory modification. The inventor listed was Dr. Marcus Webb, with an address in Brooklyn. The address led to a narrow building squeezed between a laundromat and a check-cashing place. The kind of spot you'd walk past 100 times without noticing. There was no sign, just a small buzzer panel with apartment numbers. I pressed them all until someone buzzed me in. The hallway smelled like mildew and old pizza. I climbed 3 flights of stairs, following the apartment numbers until I reached 3B. The door was slightly open, revealing darkness inside. I knocked. "Dr. Webb, my name is David Chen. I need to talk to you about MemFree." No answer. I pushed the door open wider and stepped inside. The apartment was cramped, every surface covered with computer equipment, cables snaking across the floor like veins. Multiple monitors displayed scrolling code, and in the center of it all, a man sat hunched in an office chair. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 40s, with the hollow look of someone who hadn't slept in days. "You used it," he said without turning around. "The deletion feature. How long ago?" "10 days, I said. "What did your app do?" "My ex-girlfriend, she's gone but not gone." He finally turned to face me, and his eyes were red, rimmed, haunted. "Existing in the spaces between what is and what was. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to work this way." "What are you talking about? It was supposed to delete digital memories, not whatever this is." He laughed bitterly. "Digital memories, physical memories, quantum memories. They're all connected, more than we understood. The app doesn't just delete data, it removes the subject from the quantum information field. Their presence in reality becomes negotiable." "That's insane. That's not possible, isn't it?" He gestured at his monitors. "Your girlfriend, what was her name?" I opened my mouth to answer and realized with horror that I couldn't remember. I knew she existed, knew I'd deleted her, but her name was gone. "You see, she's being unmade, piece by piece. First from digital records, then from human memory, and finally from physical reality itself. But consciousness is harder to erase. She's still aware, still experiencing, but unable to interact with a world that no longer acknowledges her existence. How do I bring her back?" His face crumpled. "You can't. I've been trying for 2 years to bring back my daughter. She was my first test subject, just her baby photos, I thought. I wanted to remove the painful ones from right after her mother died, when she was so sick. But the app couldn't differentiate. It took all of her." He pointed to a corner of the room where a child's drawings were taped to the wall, but the pictures were just scribbles, like a kid had drawn around something that wasn't there. "She texts me sometimes, calls me, says she's cold, says she's scared, but I can't find her, can't touch her, can't save her." I felt the room spin. "There has to be a way. You created this thing." "I created a monster." He turned back to his computers. "The only solution I've found is this." He pulled up a new screen, showing another app interface. "Mem Restore. It doesn't bring them back, but it rejoins you with them." "What do you mean, rejoins?" "You delete yourself the same way you deleted them. You enter the same state of quantum uncertainty. At least then you're together, even if you're nowhere." He looked at me with desperate eyes. "I'm going to do it tonight. Join my daughter. We'll be nothing together, which is better than her being nothing alone." I backed toward the door. "You're insane. There has to be another way. If you find one, let me know. But you won't. The deletion cascade is irreversible once initiated. Your girlfriend has maybe another week before she's completely dissolved. After that, even you won't remember she existed." I left him there, surrounded by his machines and his guilt, and walked home in a daze. The city felt different now, full of gaps and absences I hadn't noticed before. How many people had been erased? How many were trapped in that space between existing and not existing? That night, she appeared in my apartment. I was lying in bed, unable to sleep, when I felt the mattress dip beside me. I couldn't see her, but I could feel her presence, cold and somehow hollow. "David," her voice whispered, coming from everywhere and nowhere. "I'm disappearing. Every day, there's less of me. I can see you, but you can't see me. I can touch things, but they don't respond. I'm becoming nothing." "Sarah," I said, and felt a rush of relief that I could suddenly remember her name. "I'm so sorry. I'll find a way to fix this." "There is no fix." Her voice was fading already. "Dr. Webb was right. I heard you talking to him. I've been following you, trying to make you see me. The only way we can be together is if you join me here." "No, there has to be another option." "Does there?" "I'm so tired, David, so cold, and soon I won't even remember why. I can feel my memories going, one by one. Our first kiss gone, the trip to Portland fading, your face is starting to blur. Please, before I forget everything, before I forget you, come with me." I felt her hand on mine, barely there, like holding smoke. Use the app, delete yourself. We can face whatever comes next together. Sarah. But she was gone. The weight on the bed disappeared, and the room felt emptier than ever. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. By the third night, I was hallucinating from exhaustion, seeing her everywhere in mirrors, in windows, in the dark corners of my vision. My sister called, worried because I'd missed our lunch. My mom left voicemails. James texted asking if I was okay. But how could I explain? How could I tell them about someone they couldn't remember? On the 14th day after the deletion, I went back to Dr. Webb's apartment. The door was open again, but this time the room was empty. All the computers were gone. On the floor where his desk had been, someone had written in what looked like ash, "We're together now." I found memory store on his abandoned laptop, the only piece of equipment left behind. The interface was simple, just one button. Delete self. Below it, a timer counted down. Subject Sarah Martinez will be fully dissolved in 18 hours, 34 minutes. Sarah Martinez. Her full name hit me like a physical blow. Sarah Elena Martinez, who loved horror movies but covered her eyes during the scary parts. Who made the best coffee I'd ever tasted. Who sang in the shower and couldn't carry a tune. Who I'd erased because I was too weak to deal with heartbreak like a normal person. I sat in that empty apartment, laptop in front of me, cursor hovering over the button. Outside, Brooklyn went about its day, people heading to work, living their lives, completely unaware of the spaces between reality where deleted people drifted. How many were there? How many had been erased by heartbreak, by shame, by the desire to forget? 15 hours left. I could feel Sarah's presence weakening, like a radio signal fading out. Sometimes I heard her voice, just whispers now. Please, cold, forget. Each word more fragmented than the last. I thought about calling my family, saying goodbye. But what would I say? They didn't remember Sarah, wouldn't understand why I was disappearing. To them, it would just be suicide with no explanation. Maybe that's what it was. Digital suicide. Quantum suicide. Did the method matter? 10 hours. I'd moved back to my own apartment. Couldn't stand being in Webb's empty space. I sat on my couch, our couch, where we'd watched so many movies, where she'd curl up with her feet tucked under my leg. The indent was gone now. The couch perfectly symmetrical. No trace she'd ever been there. 5 hours. Her voice was almost gone. Just breathing now, ragged and faint. I pulled up Memory Store again. Such a simple interface for such a massive decision. No warnings, no confirmations needed. Just one click and I'd be unmade. 1 hour. I could barely feel her anymore. Soon she'd be completely gone, and even my memory of her would fade. I'd go back to my life, confused maybe by the gaps, the missing time, but ultimately fine. I could move on, date someone else, pretend this never happened. Except it did happen. I did this to her. 30 minutes. I wrote a note, though I knew no one would understand it. I deleted someone I loved, and now I'm going to find her. I'm sorry. I left it on the counter, next to my keys and wallet. Physical objects that would outlast me. 10 minutes. I opened my phone one last time, looked at the empty photo albums, the missing conversations. All those memories I'd thought were so painful I'd give anything to have them back now. But that was the thing about deletion. Some things couldn't be undone. 5 minutes. David? Her voice, so faint I almost missed it. I can barely. Remember your name. 1 minute. I clicked the button. The process was different than I expected. Not painful, just strange. Like feeling myself become untethered from everything I knew. My apartment started to look foreign, like I was seeing it from outside reality. The walls became transparent, and through them I could see other spaces, other versions of the room where things had happened differently. And then I saw her. She was translucent, fading, but still recognizably Sarah. When she saw me, her eyes widened. David, what did you do? I couldn't let you disappear alone. She reached for me, and this time, our hands met. Both of us nowhere, but nowhere together. We exist now in the spaces between things, between real and unreal, between memory and forgetting. Sometimes people almost see us a movement in their peripheral vision, a shadow where no shadow should be. We watch the world continue without us, see the gaps we left slowly closing as reality adjusts to our absence. My family moved on, though sometimes Emma stares at Christmas photos with a confused expression. James eventually mentioned to someone that he felt like he'd forgotten something important, but couldn't place what. The bodega owner still checks his security mirror sometimes, frowning at reflections that shouldn't be there. We're not alone here. Dr. Webb and his daughter drift past occasionally, and others too, all the deleted, the erased, the ones someone wanted to forget. We're building something here in the nothing, a community of the unmade. It's not living, but it's not exactly dying either. Sometimes I wonder if anyone will ever find a way to bring us back, to restore what was deleted. But mostly, I've accepted this strange existence. Sarah and I are together, even if together means nowhere. We hold each other in the void, two erased memories keeping each other from dissolving completely. And late at night, when the boundary between real and unreal grows thin, we can almost touch the world again. We send messages, leave signs, trying to warn others about the danger of deletion, about the price of trying to forget. Most people dismiss these warnings as glitches, as imagination, as dreams. But if you ever get a notification about an app that promises to delete your painful memories, remember us. Remember that some deletions can't be undone, that some absences become permanent. Remember that forgetting someone doesn't just erase them from your life sometimes. It erases them from existence itself. We're still here, in the gaps between your memories, in the spaces where something should be but isn't. We're the nagging feeling that you've forgotten something important, the sense that someone is missing from that old photo, the voice you almost hear calling your name in an empty room. Don't delete your memories, even the painful ones. They're what keep us all real. The strangest part is what I discovered 3 days ago, or what passes for days in this place. I found a cluster of code floating in the void, fragments of the original MemFree app. And buried in its base architecture, I found something that made everything worse. A timestamp showing the app's first activation. Not when Webb claimed he'd created it. Earlier. Much earlier. The timestamp was from 1997, years before smartphones existed. Before the technology should have been possible. And attached to it, a single user profile. Subject 0, complete reality. Dissolution, successful. We're not the first ones to be erased. Someone, or something, has been feeding on deleted memories for decades, maybe longer, and every person who vanishes makes it stronger, more real, while we become less. I've tried to warn the living, but our messages get weaker every day. Soon, we'll be too faded to even remember what we're trying to warn them about. But maybe this will reach someone. Maybe you'll understand what that strange app really is, what it's really doing. It's not deleting memories, it's harvesting them. And we're the crop. If you're reading this, it means I managed to push this message through during one of those thin moments between real and unreal. Please, remember us. Remember Sarah Martinez and David Chen. Remember Dr. Webb and his daughter. Remember all the deleted ones. And whatever you do, no matter how much it hurts, never try to forget. Because somewhere in the void between existence and nothingness, we're still screaming.